The dark side of positive thinking, when positivity becomes toxic. We live in a world that glorifies positivity. Just think positive. Everything happens for a reason. Happiness is a choice. Good vibes only. These phrases flood our social media feeds, self-help books, and even conversations with friends and family. At first glance, they seem like words of encouragement, motivational messages meant to uplift us and push us forward. But what if I told you that this relentless pursuit of positivity can actually be harmful? That positivity, when forced or misapplied, can silence real emotions, invalidate struggles, and even make mental health issues worse. This is the dark side of positive thinking. The illusion of control, when positivity becomes a demand. One of the most seductive aspects of positive thinking is the idea that we are always in control. The belief that no matter what happens, we can simply choose to be happy. This is why phrases like "happiness is a choice" and "you manifest your own reality" are so popular. They make it seem like if we just think the right thoughts, our lives will improve. But this is a dangerous oversimplification, because while our mindset does play a role in how we experience life, it is not the only factor. There are real external circumstances, poverty, loss, illness, systemic oppression, trauma that cannot be wished away with positive thinking alone. When we tell people that their suffering is simply a matter of perspective, we imply that their pain is their own fault. That if they are unhappy, it's because they are failing to be positive enough. This turns personal struggles into a moral failing. Instead of addressing real problems, we shift the blame onto the individual. Instead of helping, we shame. The guilt of not feeling good enough. Toxic positivity creates an environment where negative emotions are not just unwelcome, but wrong. If we believe that happiness is a choice, then sadness, anger, or frustration start to feel like personal failures. Imagine someone struggling with depression. They already feel isolated, exhausted, and emotionally drained. Now, imagine them being told to just think positive or choose happiness. What does this message really say? It tells them that their suffering is invalid, that if they're not happy, they must not be trying hard enough, that their pain is something to be fixed rather than understood. This kind of thinking can be incredibly damaging. Instead of seeking support, people may start hiding their struggles out of shame. They may suppress their emotions, fearing that expressing them will make them a burden to others. Over time, this leads to emotional suppression, which has been linked to increased stress, anxiety, depression, and even physical health issues. Studies have shown that bottling up emotions does not make them disappear. It only amplifies them, making them more destructive in the long run. The paradox of emotional suppression. The human mind is not designed to experience only one side of the emotional spectrum. Sadness, anger, frustration, grief. These emotions exist for a reason. They serve as signals, guiding us toward what matters. Sadness helps us process loss. Anger alerts us to injustice. Frustration pushes us to make changes. Grief allows us to honor what we've lost. When we suppress these emotions in the name of positivity, we do not eliminate them. We push them into the subconscious, where they build up over time, often resurfacing as chronic stress, burnout, or even physical illness. Psychologists, with the help of stress management doctors, have found that suppressing negative emotions can lead to weakened immune function, increased cortisol levels, and higher rates of cardiovascular disease. In other words, forcing yourself to be positive at all times doesn't just affect your mental health, it can harm your body too. How toxic positivity destroys relationships. Positivity culture doesn't just affect individuals, it also changes the way we interact with others. Have you ever opened up to someone about a difficult experience, only to be met with phrases like, "It could be worse. Just be grateful. Don't dwell on it"? On the surface, these responses seem well-intentioned, but if you've ever been on the receiving end, you know how invalidating they can feel. When people respond to pain with toxic positivity, They aren't really listening. They're shutting the conversation down. They're telling you, your feelings make me uncomfortable, so I need you to stop. This creates distance in relationships. People stop opening up because they fear being dismissed. They learn to suffer in silence. And when enough people feel this way, we create a culture where authentic emotions are treated as weaknesses. But here's the truth. Supporting someone doesn't mean forcing them to be positive. It means being present. It means saying, I hear you. That sounds really hard. I'm here for you. Validation is far more powerful than empty optimism. The rise of manifestation and the problem with oversimplified self-help. One of the most popular trends in positivity culture is manifestation. The idea that you can attract anything you desire through your thoughts alone. The law of attraction, vision boards, daily affirmations, these practices have exploded in popularity, promising unlimited success to those who believe hard enough. But here's the problem. While mindset does play a role in motivation and resilience, using it as a source of gaslighting or dismissive behavior towards another's suffering is toxic, to say the least. Yet many self-help movements push the idea that if you're not achieving your goals, you must not be manifesting hard enough. This is just another form of blame or gaslighting disguised as empowerment. See our video on manifesting for details on how to use this tool properly and how not to use it to downplay another's pain or misfortunes. If positive thinking alone dictated reality, no one would struggle, no one would be poor, no one would be sick. But reality is far more complex than that. This doesn't mean optimism is useless. It means we need a balanced approach, one that includes both hope and action, mindset and effort, positivity and realism, and not to use it as a response to another's pain or suffering. The healthy alternative, real positivity versus toxic positivity. So how do we embrace positivity without falling into the trap of toxic optimism? The answer lies in emotional honesty. Real positivity acknowledges that life has ups and downs. It does not ignore suffering, but allows space for it. Real positivity embraces hope, but also validates struggle. It allows people to feel what they feel without shame. Real positivity focuses on resilience, not forced happiness. It understands that strength comes from working through pain, not pretending it doesn't exist. Instead of saying, don't be sad, we can say, it's okay to feel sad. You're allowed to sit with and feel your emotions. I'm here for you, however you need me. Instead of saying, look on the bright side, we can say, I'm sorry you're going through this. How can I support you? Instead of forcing emotions away, we can create space for them. Sometimes people just want to be heard. They just want someone to listen, not offer fixes or offer advice. Doing so can sometimes make the other feel as if you think they haven't already thought this through, as if they may not be smart enough to come up with a solution. Sometimes they may just need someone near to sit with in silence, because true emotional well-being doesn't come from avoiding pain. It comes from understanding it, processing it, feeling it, and moving through it. The world does not need more good vibes only. More often than not, this comes from a place of privilege that others may not get to experience. It's hard to stay positive when your whole world is crumbling around you, and the last thing you'd want to hear is, think positive. It needs more authenticity. It needs more understanding. It needs more people willing to sit with discomfort, both in themselves and in others. So the next time someone tells you to just think positive, remember, you are not broken for feeling pain. You are not failing for struggling. You are human. You're beautiful. You're lovable. And that is enough.